History is filled with men whose names the world remembers, and others whose sacrifice changed the world without recognition. While one man spoke boldly in Parliament, another rode silently through darkness, gathering the truth. One testimony, one document, one painful story at a time. His name was Thomas Clarkson, and without him, the slave trade may have lived on far longer than history would ever confess. Thomas Clarkson was not born into politics or power. He was a student, a thinker, a man with a sensitive conscience living in a world that normalized cruelty. In 1785, when asked to write an essay on whether slavery was morally justified, Clarkson began to research. What he discovered broke him, but it also awakened him. He learned of men packed like cargo, women treated as property, and children sold before they ever learned their own names. And from that moment, Clarkson made a choice. He would destroy the slave trade with truth. He rode from port to port, walking the docks of Bristol, Liverpool, and London. He spoke to sailors in shadows and interviewed surgeons who had treated dying captives. He collected the very irons that once locked human beings together, the chains, the tools, and the instruments of suffering. His room became a museum of horror, not for shock, but for proof. Clarkson did what no politician would do. He went where the suffering lived, and he listened. Every mile he traveled, every testimony he recorded, every object he collected built the foundation of a moral case that could no longer be ignored. Clarkson did not stand in Parliament. That role fell to William Wilberforce. But Wilberforce stood on evidence, and that evidence belonged to Clarkson. Every speech, every debate, every moral argument was underpinned by the truth that Clarkson uncovered. Where Wilberforce used words, Clarkson used truth. Years passed as the battle continued. Clarkson's health declined, his body weakened by exhaustion, illness, and the weight of what he had witnessed. Yet he continued, because he believed truth was stronger than prophet, stronger than tradition, and stronger than fear. When the British Empire finally abolished the slave trade in 1807 and slavery itself in 1833, the world praised kings and parliament. But the man who walked the longest road returned to silence. Thomas Clarkson never sought fame, attention, or reward. He sought justice. He lived long enough to see the chains fall, and he died knowing that the truth he gathered had helped set millions free. Thomas Clarkson reminds us that history is not changed only by leaders and laws, but by those willing to seek the truth when others look away. He is a reminder that evidence is power, conscience is a weapon, and one person, armed with truth, can change the world. This is why Thomas Clarkson stands in the Hall of Honor, not as a celebrity, but as a guardian of truth.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Beyond the Veil. I hope it gave you something to think about, something that will bring you closer to the truth. And I'd love for you to be a part of this journey. Make sure you subscribe, share this video with a friend, and leave a comment to let me know what stood out to you. Together we can bring more light to the world. See you next time.